Hello, and thank you for joining our webinar today. Today we are going to learn the basics of customizing your device. On our agenda today, we'll be covering menus, settings, selecting a vocabulary and making a copy of it, customizing a button and editing pronunciations, hiding and showing multiple buttons. We'll talk about Word Finder and also how to lock menus. Depending on which device you have, your icons will vary. You will not have all of the icons listed below. If you have the magnifying glass on your device, that will stop any speech that's currently speaking in the speech display bar. Or if you've lost your connection to the Bluetooth amplifier, if you press and hold the magnifying glass, that will reconnect you to your Bluetooth amp. Every device has some type of back button, whether it looks like an arrow or a triangle. That back button is going to navigate you to any previous pages or previous menus. Every device also has a home button. The home button will either look like a house, a circle, or it will be a raised button on your device. That home button is going to navigate you out of chat software to the tablet's home screen, only if you have an open device. If you have a dedicated device, that button will not be functional. Some devices also have a recent apps button. Again, this will only be functional if you have an open device, but if you do, it will show you any recent apps that you've been in. If you have a dedicated device, again, this button will not be functional. Every device also has a menu button. The menu button will look like one of these 4 buttons at the bottom. The menu is going to allow you to determine which vocabulary file will be used, which options are enabled, how and when to speak messages, and a wide variety of other options. Once you tap the menu button on your device, additional chat menus will appear at the bottom of your device. The first option is Edit Mode. That will allow you to turn Edit Mode on or off. Settings is where you will go in and modify the settings of the device. The library will be a list of your vocabulary files. The Help button will be where you find system information or registration. If you ever need to call into support and they ask you which version you're on, you can go into Help and About, and you can find the software version at the top. The next 2 chat menus, the Word Finder and the Lock, must be enabled in the settings, so you may or may not see those on your device currently. The Word Finder is going to help you find a word in the vocabulary if you don't know which path to take to get there. The Lock is going to lock menus. Let's go ahead and tap on the Settings menu. We're going to go through some of the more popular settings. The first one we're going to look at is Input. You'll see timing at the top of the screen. Go ahead and tap on it. And then you'll see 3 different timing settings: acceptance time, release time, and activate on release. Acceptance time is the length of time that you have to hold a button pressed down before it's actually going to register. If we go into acceptance time, you can enable this feature, and then you can go in and set up the time that you would like to have your button pressed. For instance, I have mine set to 2 seconds. Tap Done once you've chosen your duration. If I arrow back to the home screen, you'll notice if I drag my finger across the screen, it's not activating the buttons until I actually press on that button for 2 seconds. This might be a good button timing for somebody that drags their hand across the screen to get to their actual choice. If we go back into Menu, into Settings, to Input, to Timing, to Acceptance Time, let's uncheck the box. Go back a screen, and then we'll take a look at Release Time. What release time is going to do is disable all of the buttons for this specified period of time after each button press. What this does is essentially prevents accidental double button presses. So we can enable this. Again, set up our timing. I have mine set to 2 seconds. Tap Done, OK, and then arrow back until you get to your home page. This time, if I double tap on a button, it didn't register the second button press because the second button press was within that 2-second time frame. If it had been after that 2-second time frame, then it would have recognized the second button press. Let's go back to Menu, to Settings, to Input, Timing, and let's take off the release time by unchecking the box. We'll go back a screen, and then we'll activate on release. What activate on release is going to do is activate a button when you release it rather than when you initially touch it. Again, we'll go back to the home screen. And you see if I'm pressing on a button, it's not registering yet until I actually let go of it.
Finish.
So let's go back into the settings and take off that activate on release. Go back to Menu, to Settings, to Input, to Timing, and uncheck activate on release. Now let's go back one more screen. And a couple of other options here. One of them is beep on button press. What beep on button press is going to do is it's going to make a sound when every button is pressed. Some people find this to be great audio feedback, and then some people find it annoying. So you can just test it out and see what works best for your user. Another one is draw button press. What draw button press is going to do is it's going to highlight the button when it's pressed. It just kind of gives that a little red highlight as you're tapping the button. Let's hit the back arrow to go back one screen, and let's talk about speech output. Under speech output is where you can go into voice, and you can choose the synthesizer. Ivona is going to be the standard synthesizer. You can purchase the acapella synthesizer for an additional $95, but if you have not purchased it, you should only see Ivona and Android. Let's go ahead and look at the Ivona synthesizer. Go into voice settings. And this is where we're going to choose our voice. From the drop down here, you can choose which voice you would like to change it to. To test one out, simply tap on it.
Hello, my name is Kendra, an adult female English voice from Ivona.
And if you're not sure you like how the voice sounds, you can also try dragging this rate bar here faster or slower, and this is also going to change how the voice sounds a little bit. Once you select the voice that you want, you would go ahead and tap on Save. If we go back another screen, a couple of other speech options here are character, word, and sentence. This is essentially when you want the device to speak. If character is checked, the device is going to speak after each character is typed in. So if you're working on a keyboard and you're spelling out the word dog, D-O-G, it will speak every character as you're typing it in. If you only want the word to speak, go ahead and check word, and that will speak after every word press. And if you simply want the sentence to speak, check sentence, and that will speak after every sentence. Let's go back another screen and look at style. Under style, the first section is speech display bar. Any style changes here will directly affect the speech display bar. You can change things such as the font by selecting a different font type, the font size by tapping in a different number. You can make your font bold or italicized by checking the boxes. If we go back a screen, you can also change the number of lines of the speech display bar. So if you would like to totally hide the speech display bar, choose hidden. Otherwise, you can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 lines. Just keep in mind, if you choose several lines, for instance, 3 lines, and we go back to the vocabulary page, it has made your speech display bar really big because it's anticipating 3 lines of text here. Now, if you compose a sentence,
I love to play jacks.
you'll notice that the text is not taking up the entire speech display bar. That's because once your text is long enough, it's going to wrap it around to the second line and then wrap it around to the third line so that you can display 3 lines of text. Let's go back into the menu and to settings and to style, and we're going to change that number of lines back to 1. You could also change the background color of your speech display bar. By default, it is a white background with black text, but if you would like a different color background, you can choose that here. just by tapping on the different color. You can also change to a different text color by tapping on a different text color. If you would like the speech display bar icons to show along with the text, you can tap on speech display bar icons and check the box here. Finally, if you would like the speech display bar moved to the bottom of the page, you can uncheck on top, and this will move the speech display bar to the bottom of the page. Let's go back a page and scroll down to System. Under System, if we look at Display Settings, under Brightness, this is going to allow you to adjust the brightness of your screen. I like to keep mine as bright as it can go, but you can also choose automatic brightness if you wish. If you're outside on a sunny day, I do recommend that you choose as bright as it can go, and that will help you see the screen a little bit better. Once you make your selection, you can tap OK. And then on Screen Timeout, this is when you want your screen to go to sleep. You can set this up so the screen times out 15 seconds after a button press, 30 seconds, 1, 2, 10, or 30 minutes, or 1 hour. I think the typical user probably selects about 1 to 2 minutes. Just keep in mind, the longer you have your screen timeout, the more it might drain your battery if your device is not in use. Let's go back one more screen here and look at kiosk mode. What kiosk mode is going to do is, on open devices, it's going to lock users out of the Android home screen, so it will function as a dedicated device. On most dedicated devices, the kiosk will not be needed, but if you do have a dedicated device starting with the serial number 8.25, this kiosk mode is going to be used to block the user out of advanced system settings. So right now, if I press my home button on my open device, I can access the device home screen. If I go back into NovaChat, I go into kiosk mode and check kiosk mode, and I try to press that home button again, I cannot get out of the NovaChat software. Let's hit the back arrow a couple of times and go to data logging. If you have data logging checked, that's going to enable collection of language usage. What this is going to do is it's going to track every button press that was made throughout the day. So if you ever wonder how often the device is being used at school, for instance, turn data logging on your device and leave it on for at least 30 days or so that it has time to collect data. Then you can go to the Realize Language website at realizelanguage.com. You can sign up for a free 30-day trial. Go ahead and sign up. And then what you can do is upload your data from your device to the Realize Language website. Once you're on the Realize Language website, you can create different things such as word clouds, number of words usage. You can do an analysis of what type of words are being used throughout the day, and then you can also see a log of when the device is being used. To upload your file on the device, go to Realize Language. Make sure you have an internet connection. Then you'll need to log in to the same Realize account that you just set up on the website. And after that, you'll select the person that you would like to upload the data for. And you can either check Auto Upload, which will periodically upload the communication history to Realize, or you can tap on Upload Now. Let's move on to selecting a vocabulary to customize. Hit the back arrow until you get out of the menus. Then we're going to go to Menu, Library. Then you're going to see a list of all of the vocabularies that are in your library. Anything with a lock next to it is a Saltillo original file and cannot be edited. Anything that does not have a lock next to it is either a file that I've created or something that I've copied. You'll notice that this device contains both PCS and SS symbol sets. In order to copy a vocabulary, we simply tap the selected vocabulary. For this example, we're going to go to a Word Power 42 Basic, SS for symbol sticks. We tap on it, and we have two choices. We can open it or duplicate it. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. You'll notice it puts the root name of the file at the beginning here. We're going to leave that there and then just customize the end of it. The reason that you don't want to just call this Jesse's copy is because if you ever call into support and they ask you what file you're working on, if you just said I'm working on Jesse's copy, they have no idea what that was based off of. But if you said I'm working on a WordPower 42 Basic Jesse's copy, then they know what file you're working off of. So I'm just going to backspace over the word copy and type Jesse in here and save it. That's then going to put our copied file back into our list with no lock next to it this time. So this time we're going to tap on that file, that Jesse file, and we're going to open it so that we can go ahead and do some editing. Some things that we may want to start to customize are an About Me page or a personal page, maybe some food and drinks, toys if it's a younger client, or interests and hobbies. I do want to caution you, changing core words in the WordPower vocabularies can cause links in other pages to not work appropriately. These vocabularies are intricately designed so that all of the buttons have purposeful links. So if you start changing some of those, it may break the links for other buttons. So now that we're in a copy, we can go ahead and tap on Menu and Edit Mode. You'll notice when you're in edit mode, at the bottom of your screen, edit mode will appear in red, and there's other information listed such as the file that you're in and the page that you're currently on. We're going to go ahead and tap on Social and Personal, and we're going to edit the My Name button. Go ahead and press on it and choose Edit Button. There are 3 tabs on which we can edit information. The first one here is the General tab. On the General tab, we can edit the label, which is what appears on the button. The message is what's going to be displayed in the speech display bar and be spoken. So we're going to go ahead and change the message here to add Jesse at the end. Next, we can change the picture a few different ways. We can import a picture. This is going to go to our image library and let us select a picture that we have imported previously from our computer. Once you select a picture, you can just give it a name and tap on Save. We could also tap on the camera, and this is going to let us take a picture right now and put it on the button. Or we could tap on Find. In Find, we can search for the image that we want to use. In this case, I would search for an image of a girl and tap on Search. Be sure to choose a symbol that has the correct symbols. I'm in a Symbolsticks file, so I want to choose a Symbolsticks picture. I can select a girl by tapping on it, and then that would put that picture on our button. The last option here is Visible. If you uncheck this box, that will hide the button once we get out of edit mode. The next thing that we want to do is move to the Style tab. On the Style tab, we can change different things such as the font that's on the button, font size. We can make that font bold, italicized, or underline. We can also change colors of the body, of the font, or of the border. Let's go ahead and change the body color by tapping on Body, and then we'll just choose a pink color. You'll notice that has made my button pink. We could also do the same thing for the font and the border. And we can increase the size of the border width. If we wanted a really thick border on there, we could just keep tapping on the plus button to increase the border. If we check the transparent box at the bottom of the screen, this will make our button transparent. This is typically only used when creating a visual scene. The Label on Top button, if it is unchecked, will move the label to the bottom of your button. Next, we're going to go to the Actions tab. This is the tab where you tell your button what you want it to do. Buttons can perform various actions, such as speaking, navigating, or visiting a page. Our button has the speech message action on it already. So we do not need to change this. If we did, we could search from the drop down here and choose a different action simply by tapping on it. Again, we don't want to change our action, so we're just going to hit the back arrow, and then we're going to tap on Save to save our changes. Now we can test out our button.
My name is Jessie.
And you'll notice it has all of our customization on it. To view additional editing options, we can press and hold on the same button and look at some of the other options. For instance, we could change the button size. Let's make this a 2x2 and save it. You'll notice that when you increase button sizes, they do expand to the right and down. So any buttons that I had to the right and below it are going to be covered up. They're not deleted, they're just covered up with the bigger buttons. So I could take this one and I could drag and drop it somewhere else, and then my other buttons would still remain here. We could also press and hold again, and we could remove the button from the page if we would like to. We could also copy the button style, and we could go to a different button, press and hold it, and we could paste the button style. Now you'll notice it did not copy and paste the exact button, it's just pasting the style properties. This is an easy way to change the style properties on several buttons on the page. If we press and hold again, you can also just copy the button and paste it somewhere else if you would like. Let's go ahead and arrow back out of here. The next thing we're going to talk about is editing pronunciations. Changing a pronunciation will affect this word in all future instances, whether it is typed in using a keyboard or from a button. Let's go to Menu, into Settings, Speech Output, Voice, and Pronunciations. You'll see some default pronunciations already programmed in. To create our own, we're going to tap on Menu, and then the plus sign at the bottom that says New. Under the Pronounce section, you'll enter the word how it's spelled, and under Pronounce As is how you would like it pronounced. So the Pronounce As is where you play around with the pronunciation of it. A lot of times, depending on the synthesizer and voice you're using, names will not be pronounced correctly. So this is where a lot of people go and enter their different names. For instance, my name is Kara, spelled C-A-R-A, but a lot of people spell it the exact same way and pronounce it Kara. Fortunately for me, the NovaChat pronounces it Kara, but if I was one of those people who wanted it to say Kara, I would have to come in here and change the pronunciation of my name. So under the Pronounce, I spell it correctly, and then under the Pronounce As is where you kind of play around with it to see what different phonetic spellings you can come up with. So I know that C-A-R dash U-H will pronounce as Kara. So let's go ahead and tap on Pronounce it.
Kara.
So that's about as close to Kara as I think I'm going to come. So I would go ahead and save it. Anytime that I would tap a button with the name C-A-R-A on it, or if I spelled it out on a keyboard, it would now pronounce it Kara instead of Kara. If you're having trouble getting it to pronounce correctly, try using spaces, dashes, and apostrophes. Next, let's talk about hiding or showing multiple buttons. To get out of the pronunciation, let's hit the back arrow until we get back to the home screen. Now, let's hit the home button. And in order to go into hide mode, you first need to go into edit mode, which we already are. So from edit mode, tap on Menu again, tap on More, and then you'll see hide mode down here at the bottom. So go ahead and tap on hide mode. And then we have a couple of different options here. We can just start tapping on buttons that we would like to hide, and you'll see that it's graying them out. Or if we want to hide most of the buttons on the screen, we can go back into Menu and tap on Hide All. This is going to hide everything on the screen. So what we would then want to do is just start tapping the buttons that we want to show. In this case, it's going to bring them back into color. Once we have the buttons that we want to show, go to Menu, tap on Hide Mode, and get out of edit mode by tapping on it. You'll notice that these are the only two buttons visible on my screen. However, when I tap on one of them to go to a different page, all of the buttons are available because I only hid the buttons on the home screen. So I would have to go through each page and hide the buttons if I wanted to hide several buttons on every page. Now to get those back, we can go back into Menu and Edit Mode, to More, to Hide Mode, and I have two choices again. I could just start tapping the rest of the buttons to bring them back, or I could go to Menu and tap on Show All, and that's going to bring all of my buttons back. To exit Hide Mode, tap on Hide Mode, and you can get out of Edit Mode as well. Let's move on to Word Finder. There's two different ways to use Word Finder. You can use it on a button or on the menu, like I mentioned at the beginning of our webinar. To use on the menu, you must configure it in Settings. So we'll go to Menu, then to Settings, then to Word Finder, and we'll tap on Show Menu Item. Let's exit out of there. And when we tap on Menu again, you'll now see Word Finder at the bottom down here in your menu. You'll simply tap on Word Finder and then type in the word that you're looking for. In this case, let's look for the word popsicle. You'll notice it then shows us the path to get to popsicle: eat, dessert, and popsicle. To get out of Word Finder, you simply arrow back. We can also create a Word Finder button in your vocabulary. Let's go back into Settings. So Menu, Settings, Word Finder, and let's talk about the flip interval. The flip interval is the amount of time that you want each Word Finder result to display in the speech display bar. So if we tap on that, we can choose as many seconds as we want here. I have mine set to 4 seconds, but you may want to choose a shorter amount of time or a longer amount of time after you try it out. Then I'm going to tap on Done and OK, and arrow back to my vocabulary. Most of the vocabularies have a Word Finder button already on the keyboard. So if we take a look at the ABC 1, 2, 3 button here, you'll see the Find Word button on the keyboard already. So we could simply type in our word. If I was looking for park, I could hit Find Word, and you'll see that results displayed in the speech display bar. It's displaying them for 4 seconds each because that's what I set up as my flip interval. If you're working in a vocabulary that does not have the Find Word button on a keyboard, we can go ahead and set up our own. For this example, I'm just going to put it on a page where I know there are blank buttons, but in your vocabulary, you would put it wherever it would make sense for you. So I'm just going to go to Groups, the arrow, and Extra Page 1 here because I know this is a blank page. Then I'm going to go to Menu and Edit Mode. I'm going to edit any button. Choose Edit Button. And then you can type in Find Word. I'm not going to put a picture on this button, but I do need to go to the Actions tab, and I need to add an action. And my action is going to be Find Word. Now I don't need my button to say Find Word, so I'm going to press on the speech message, and I'm going to remove it because I just want the one action on here. Then I'm going to save, get out of Edit Mode by going to Menu and Edit Mode. Then what we'll need to do is go to your keyboard. So we're going to go Home, to the keyboard. Let's clear out our previous selection and let's search for something else. Let's look for flower. So you still type in on your keyboard what you're searching for, And then you go to the page where you have your button. In this case, I put mine on groups, arrow, extra page 1. Then you hit the find word button. And you'll notice it's displaying my results in the speech display bar for 4 seconds. So it's a lot more useful if you can put that button on your keyboard as well, since you have to type the word in on the keyboard. But if not, you can always find somewhere else to put it. The last thing I want to talk about is locking menus. In order to enable menu lock, go to Menu, Settings, Menu Lock, and Enable Menu Lock. It's then going to ask you to set a password, so go ahead and type in a password. And then you're going to hit the back arrow until you get back to your vocabulary. You'll then be able to go to Menu and Lock down here at the bottom right. It's going to ask if you want to enable kiosk mode too. What kiosk mode does is on open devices, kiosk mode is going to lock them out of the tablet function, so you will not be able to access the tablet home screen. On newer dedicated devices, starting with serial numbers 8.25, this is going to block a user out of advanced system settings. So let's go ahead and enable kiosk as well. Now if I tap on menu, you'll just see an unlock down here at the bottom, so I'm not able to access any menu items. To unlock this, I'll have to tap on unlock, enter my password, and click OK. It's going to ask me if I would like to disable kiosk too. I can say yes here or no here. If I say no, kiosk is going to stay locked, so I will still not have any access to the tablet home screen. Let's go ahead and hit no. Now if I tap on menu, I have all of my menus back. But if I try to press on the home button of my device, I cannot access the tablet home screen because I am still in kiosk mode. One thing to note here for your menu lock, if you ever forget the menu lock password, there is an override password for that menu lock, and it's Bosco, capital B-O-S-C-O. In order to disable the kiosk mode, we're going to go into Menu, to Settings, to System, Kiosk Mode, and I can uncheck the box next to Kiosk Mode. If a kiosk password was set, you will be prompted to enter your password. If you ever forget what that password is, there is an override password for kiosk, and it's lowercase Bazinga, B-A-Z-I-N-G-A. If you have further questions, please email support@saltillo.com or call our 800 number at 800-382-8622. Please join us on social media. We do have a Saltillo Corporation Facebook page. We also have a NovaChat and ChatFusion user group, a Saltillo Corp Twitter account, and a Saltillo Corp YouTube channel. Thank you so much for viewing our webinar today, and have a great day.